Good morning, guys. Okay, so starting a little bit early before I get started. If you are purchasing anything from the web shop, I do have a creator code. In case you didn't know, Adrian Chong without any spaces, and that goes towards supporting my channel so that I can continue to do War Robots content for you guys, whether it be in the form of a video, live stream like this. I have other things as well that I do, like guides, giveaways, dream hangers, baby account, which we'll be taking actually a look at today because it's kind of tied to the whole rebalance. And yeah, I would greatly appreciate it if you used my creator code, and thanks in advance if you do. Let me just hold on. Let me just go to the top of the chat here. Oh, by the way, thank you, Ghost, for becoming an A Squad member. I just noticed it on my dashboard. Shout out to Attitudes. Is it Amin? I think it's supposed to be garbage. Grabbage? What? Colosso, Tropico. Is it Waji Hawad? I think that's how you pronounce your name. Can you give a sword? Yeah, so I don't just give robots and weapons and stuff to players. I do giveaways. You have to enter through the giveaways. Speaking of which, the sword unit, the winners were announced last night. And I also, I posted it in a comment or a post, community post, and also a pinned comment under that live stream. All the winners have been announced. There's a couple that didn't get their prize because they gave me the wrong pilot ID. So hopefully you gave me the right pilot ID, and if you are a winner, you should have your sword unit. All of that was delivered last night. Okay, let me just continue with the shout outs here to, is it Colosso, to Billy, Walter, is it Saja, Alejandro, Terminal, Tigo, Joy, Swag, Big Brain, interesting name, Krish, I'm just gonna say F, I'm not even gonna say the rest of your name, Daniel. Okay, good morning, guys. Okay, so actually, before we get started, if you guys can do me a favor, if you enjoy my content, if you find value in live streams like this, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It helps the channel out. This way, it kind of feeds the YouTube algorithm, and those that are interested in the game will discover my channel, and hopefully I can help them too. Okay, so the way that I'm going to structure this this whole rebalance thing and like the discussion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of sum up things like the test server, how I view balance changes. Then we're going to jump into my baby account, which you actually see right now, how I'm going to adjust things, my approach. And this is even before seeing the balance changes. Okay, so you're going to see how I prepare. And then, if there's time, what we can do is at the end, we can see if, what I'm doing on my baby account is going to change, or like if I'm going to change anything, based on what I know after going through that list. And we can see how my thinking changes and how I adapt according to that. Because I think it's really important for a player to learn, how to kind of navigate through these changes. These changes do happen every so now and then, and it can really change the meta up. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna state, whenever it comes to balance changes, like they have posted, on the War Robots official Discord, which I will be showing in a bit. Usually when I see a list like that, and it's the first time I've seen it, first time everyone has seen it, I don't really overreact. And the reason why I don't do that is because there's about a 70-80% chance that what we see on that list will be different from the time that they release it on the live server. So I don't stress out about it because, first of all, I don't know what's really going to go through. There could be some changes that are cancelled. There could also be things that they add to that list, which I wouldn't have factored in. So it's kind of pointless to get dramatic and kind of overreact to things if you have no control over it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to control, what I have, and, just based on that, see how things go. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to kind of mention about those changes. The next thing you have to kind of understand, and maybe I can actually I wish I could actually draw on my screen, because this will kind of make things, hopefully you can kind of picture things. So let's just say all of these titans, like the top row, again, ignore the fact that we have an auth or whatever. Just say that the top row of titans, these are the meta titans. If they have a value of 10, right? And these ones here are like the free-to-play players' titans. And these have a value of like, I don't know, let's just say 5. Now, if the top set of titans get nerfed down to, I don't know, a level 7, and nothing happens to the bottom level of titans, the free-to-play players, what essentially happens is that these bottom titans get naturally stronger because nothing was really done to them. Okay, so you got to kind of factor in both sides of the equations when it comes to balance. And I have to kind of explain this because some players are like, well, they nerfed Mauler, how come they didn't buff like so-and-so Titan or whatever? Because naturally, if you are nerfing one Titan, the Titan that you're talking about is naturally going to get stronger. So I think it's important to kind of understand that concept, because if you don't see it that way, you don't really fully understand how balance works, because one is going to get weaker, the other one's naturally going to get stronger. And because this game has so many components to it, whether it be weapons, drones, or whatever, you got to kind of keep that in mind, right? So, and I highly doubt it that Pixonic could balance the game 100%. It's just like impossible. I've followed other games that have been around for longer than Pixonic, and even they struggle. So if they nerf like a free-to-play weapon, there's a high probability, I would say 80-90% chance, there's another free-to-play weapon that will take its place. Okay, so I'm going to mention that right now. So as far as this baby account goes, because I know a lot of players are going to say, well, Adrian, did you hear about the really bad nerf to the Indra? Yes, I heard about the nerf, but I also heard that they nerfed Mauler and all of those other titans. So to put things into perspective, am I worried about it? No, not really. And there's a reason why I have been stockpiling my platinum. So if you're wondering like how I got my platinum, I basically watch ads. I do the hunting grounds, which is basically... Okay, so you can see I already did it for this weekend, because I did it yesterday during the members thing. So we got 150. Yeah, we got 150 platinum through there, and I got some platinum through these other tasks. But basically, I'm not chasing the meta, so that's the other thing that I don't generally do on this account. I don't chase after everything that's like shiny. Okay, so new and shiny. I focused on the Indra. I got this, and then I started just stockpiling my platinum in the event that I do need to change. But again, I'm not really worried about any of that. What I've been doing on this account, because I needed crumble weapons, I've been upgrading some crumble weapons. Will these get a nerf? I don't know yet. We're going to go through the list. I'm just kind of giving you my input right now. Ignore the fact that this has a whole lot of mixed weapons. I was leveling up the hussars. But one thing that I will be switching to, and a lot of players can actually get value from this. If you're a free player and you're building a build where maybe all of these are hussars, keep in mind that you have to invest a large chunk of your resources on just one build. Now, if you can find a build which can do the same thing, but with fewer weapons, then that would actually be the best way to go about it. So what I've actually been doing in the background, I'm not sure if you remember, but I did upgrade my Pathfinder, and I also have a Raven here, which I did upgrade. So another option for me to do a similar job would be to run like a Raven with Hussar Marquise, or like the Pathfinder with Hussars. Now, if they nerf that, then that's fine because, you know, I have other weapons. So I never overload my hanger with like one set of weapons. You're gonna notice they're all like different. There might be some crumble weapons on multiple bots, but I don't do the full. Okay, because the reason why I don't do that is because if I were to do that and they were to nerf, like say all the Mog ones, the you know, the Gangeals, the Kirans, then I'll be in a lot of trouble. So I try to diversify my hanger. Check the drifting. I did check it. Yeah, I saw the pilots and stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't do this. I did, so hold on a second, because I see they have 2,500. Yesterday when I did the drift thing, I actually got, I don't know if you guys caught it, I was using thorium. I used my free thorium and I was getting, I got the keel. Okay, so basically I got all of this for free. Now I have an attack mothership, and you might notice my upgrade tokens because I won quite a bit of upgrade tokens. I'll be showing all of this in a video, okay, you know, at a later date, just so you can see how I got all of those upgrade tokens and stuff. Okay, so that's kind of where I stand with this hanger. And now we're going to go to the War Robots Discord. We're going to take a look at, you know, the balance changes, and then I'm going to give you sort of my initial thoughts on it, and hopefully when we have time, if I go through the entire list, we'll come back to the baby account, and then, you know, I'll tell you, you know, if there's any changes that I would make as far as like my approach goes, and hopefully you can take away, you know, value from that. Okay, so let me, let's see if I can do this right. Okay, so I think you guys can see this, right? Yeah, this is going to be kind of tricky for me to do because, yeah, I'm looking at my main monitor here, but it doesn't show. For me, it shows this more of the screen, but for you guys, it's going to be cut off because I had to blow up the balance list so that you guys could read it. Otherwise, it's going to be too small. So you guys can read that, right? You also got kill? Nice. Yeah, I was actually more interested in the upgrade tokens, but at the same time, you know, on that account, I have the Avalon that's maxed out, and I wanted the Frederick, but because I can't get the Frederick, and I saw the Keel, I was like, you know what, that's an attack. Man, the ship might be worth it, but I was actually more interested in the upgrade tokens more than anything. Okay, you can see it? Okay, perfect. Okay, so now, I mean, this is a really long list, just to kind of give you an idea of how long this list is. So we're here, right? Watch this. This is like the balance. I was like going through it. I was like, gee, man, that's like an encyclopedia. That's like, you might as well just release a new game. Okay, so my initial thoughts before I've even gotten into it, when you see this many changes, like, I hate to say this, but you can be an experienced player. There is absolutely no ways that you will know how everything is going to turn out. Okay, now keep in mind too that this is the first time we're seeing this list. So there's like a 70-80% chance that it's going to change here and there by the time that it's released. There might be some things added, might be some things that get cancelled entirely. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So what we have here, let's see if you guys can see. Okay, you can see that. So the Blaze ignited the Ember. So it looks like the Blaze is what, getting more damage. Igniter is, oh, they actually cut that in like half, more than half. So the Igniter is going to get weak and the Ember is going to get slightly stronger. Okay, so we've got that. The ammo is going to increase. Wait, does that mean that it's shooting slower? I think that means it's going to shoot. There's more AoE too. Not sure why they even touched the Blaze and the Ember. I think they should have just left it as is. Like, it's not like many players run it. So, not sure why they did that. I mean, I run it on my Demeter, but it's more because I don't have other weapons, so I just kind of run what I have. The slashes reference which weapons getting which damage increase or decrease. Well, aren't you referring to... You have damage per particle. So that's like, that would be the blaze. Would that not be? The blaze is going from 718 to 600. Oh, okay, I see. I got it. Okay, so you're going from this damage here to... Man, they really mess us up. Okay, so all the flames are getting nerfed. Okay, so you've got... so this would be the igniter then from here to... Man, why do they make it so confusing? I'm just visualizing this in the form of like a table. That wouldn't even make sense. 7, how would you even put this if they had to write it in as a table? What could be a substitute? Elvis, we'll get to that towards the end because I have a lot to go through here. Yeah, this is really actually confusing the way that they've written it. So if that goes like this, then this has got to be the igniter. So it's the second one, right? Okay, so we've got damage nerf across the board. For the blaze igniter, the ember. So this is just my thinking. So if the weapons are doing less damage, are we going to see the robots get weaker? Because if the robots are getting weaker, right? Because if a weapon is doing less damage and your robots are the same, then overall, it's going to do less. You're not going to, like, you're going to significantly notice a difference, right? But if they lower the health of the robots, especially the meta robots, and they weaken them, then it kind of, I don't want to say this because I don't really know how it is, but it kind of balances out. Does that make sense, guys? So if you have a robot, let's just say it has like, I don't know, argument's sake, 1,000 health, and your damage that you're doing is like 500. Now, if you lower the health of your robot to, I don't know, like 500, and your weapon is doing like 400, you see what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know how that's going to be affected there, but I'm just kind of mentioning it. Again, it is something that we will have to navigate through as we play the game. But yeah, I would have just left this as is, but maybe it's because they have T3 here. I don't know. Okay, so we've got Marquis Hussar. Sorry, I had to look at my OBS here to see what it's showing you guys, because I can see more of the screen on my main monitor. Okay, so we've got Marquis, Hussar, and Dragoon. So how are we looking at this now? Because they made it so confusing. So I guess 6,000 to 5,000. And then it's going to be 8,000 to 7,000. And then 19 to 15. Okay, so we've got a nerf across the board to the Marquis, the Hussar, and the Dragoon. I'm just looking to see my disc or my OBS so you guys can see. To be honest, I was kind of predicting that this was going to happen. They were just doing a lot of damage. And I know players are saying that it's really my fault or whatever, because now that I did a video, just to kind of put things into perspective, when I did a video and I told players that they were sleeping on these weapons, my first video on that particular weapon set was done in January. So if you didn't watch that video then and you didn't take advantage, you missed out on basically a year almost of where you could have benefited from those weapons. Now, when I put out that video that players were sleeping on these weapons, about a week or two after that, I ran the Scaddy, the Hell, and the Snare. And I found out actually the two were doing almost like, I don't say equivalent damage because I don't know the exact damage numbers, but in the games that I was playing, it was very hard to differentiate, which one was necessarily stronger. But I went with the snare and the scatty because of the freeze effect. So to me, that made more sense. But that was when I actually mentioned, like, this was back in January. So again, if you didn't take advantage of these weapons since then, it's kind of on you. So yeah. Hey guys, Avalanche, I'm expecting a nerf because these are actually quite strong. So let me just scroll a bit here. I have to look at my OBS. Okay, so damage per particle, they're increasing that. Reload time, increasing that. What do they mean by reload threshold? What is this? Ammo. Bottom line, it's nerfed. We'll just keep it short and simple. We don't need to go through that. Okay, so the Avalanche is getting nerfed. So wait, I'm actually kind of wondering, because all of these are range. Well, except for Blaze. Okay. What do we have here for Flux? Damage per particle. Ooh, that's a pretty good nerf there, at least initially. Again, just keep in mind that the numbers can, or most likely will change. I'm not going to say can. 33 reload time, 3 seconds. Redeemer, I was expecting a nerf because it performs really well. I mean, relative to some of the newer weapons. And I know this especially when I run it on like my links. Okay, so what do we have here? Damage, nerf, interval. So it's gonna fire slower is how I'm seeing that. Burst, 4 to 5 particles. Ammo, more ammo, reload, a little bit longer. Yeah, they put stuff like this. To me, I don't know what they mean by, what is a 33%? What the heck is that? I don't know. I'd have to see how bad this nerf is. Sometimes, again, like sometimes players like overreact to it. We'll know when it comes to a live server, and again, there's a chance that they might change it or might even scrap it. Who knows? Shock train. This is doing actually more damage. Damage per particle. Ammo. Wait. Reload time. So that's going to be faster. Maximum charge. Reload threshold. Yeah, that, I'm basically looking at this. I don't know why they say 4 to 5 or 5 to 4 ammo. Okay, slightly stronger. I wouldn't, this is just my opinion, I wouldn't upgrade shock trains. Waste of resources. They're not gonna shoot straight anymore. they gotta align it because of the lag, right? Hey Jason. Just to make Jason, I want to say I agree with you, but that also doesn't make sense because you can already visually see that it's better right now without doing anything. So like I don't understand the logic behind most of these that I've read so far. Well, actually, scratch that, because I did say before that I could see Marquis, Hussar, and Dragoon getting. So this, I was actually expecting this and the Avalanche and the Redeemer, if I'm being honest, because they were just performing really well. And you know how like when I show builds on my channel and everything is maxed out, players say, well, of course it's going to do well because you're running everything at MK3. What the flaw in that analysis is that when I run these builds, I'm actually comparing it to like the latest meta. Like how strong is it in comparison when both are MK3? So that's why I was expecting the Redeemers to kind of possibly get a nerf, because when you compare that to like, say, I don't know, like even something like a Kieran, it was actually doing a lot of damage. Now Kieran's different in that you can't heal from it, but the amount of damage that you could do with a Redeemer on just say even like a Lynx when you're charged up compared to like a Kieran, when you have the 350 meter range, it's actually surprisingly good. And that's why I I could see that coming. Oh, Reaper, thank you so much for the donation. Indra Nerf and the Vajra weapons. Yes, we're going to get to that. And I will also... The reason why I wanted to go through this list, you know, and then afterwards kind of tell you how it's going to affect my thinking for my baby account hanger is so that you can kind of see my process, hopefully, and get value out of that. So yeah, shock train, I'm not really too concerned about. I don't run shock trains. This is also kind of why I steer... I don't want to say steer clear entirely, but I don't build too much range weapons in my hanger because just in terms of value for my overall hanger, I find that the more range you have, it's just, I don't know, it's a waste of resources. You really only need one range and then the rest close range because that's where you're going to get the bulk of your damage. So Puncher, according to what they have here, is going to do more damage, but it's going to fire a bit slower. So that means you probably have more dispersion, right? Ammo that's a lot less ammo. So this is actually more like a nerf to me. Like, I know it's doing more damage, but they've cut the ammo in half. Yeah, so I'd have to kind of, I'd have to play this and see. But I'm keeping an eye on that. Just scroll here so you guys can see this other part of the list. Okay, so Viper. Acceleration. Wait, does that mean it's going to shoot slower? Negative 50%. Damage per stack. I don't know. These stats don't look too good for me. So yeah, I'm going to steer clear of Viper for now. Yeah, that's half the ammo. That makes a big difference. So even though you're doing more damage, half the ammo, that's a big deal because punches fire really fast. But also you gotta understand too what they've actually done here. What they've done here too, if I'm reading this right, the shot interval, that means it's more delayed. So you actually get more dispersion. So you get more bullet spread, which means you can actually miss more. And if you don't have that much ammo, you're really going to miss. So even if you had that extra damage, then it's still bad. So if you do use something like this, you probably want to use it on something like close range, like really close range, like a Revenant or something. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so these are the T3 weapons, right? Yeah, so those are the T3 weapons. Okay, so just a couple of things here I noticed. So there's nothing mentioned. Or wait, are we going to go down to... We got Titans, Titan weapons. Pilots, ultimates, ultimate robots. I just want to see if there's other weapons here that they might have. Ultimate weapons, robots, Condor. Robot weapons. Okay, so there's actually more over there. Okay, so that was just a T3. Yeah, sorry, I had to kind of look to see if they, because the way that they've done it is really, it's like all over the place. Okay, so we went there, we got Viper. Now we're gonna look at the Titans. Okay, Atlas. How bad is the nerf? Frontal shield effective duration. So the frontal shield's not gonna be up for long, or as long. Basically cut more than half. Built-in weapon damage per particle. Going to be increased durability thresholds. Cooldown 20. Okay, so the frontal shield. I mean, it's still getting hit pretty bad. The frontal shield's kind of important. Although, you know, this is just me personally. The Atlas. Someone was telling me like how the Atlas was the strongest Titan in the game. They had included in the fact that in many of my live streams and my videos, I haven't been running the Atlas. There's a reason why I haven't been running the Atlas, by the way. It's because the Bisaglia is a hard counter to it. And if you run into a team with Pathfinders, your Atlas is pretty much dead. So this just makes it worse. This makes it a lot worse, right? Because now you don't really have the frontal shields up as long. But this is just me personally. I find with the Atlas, the frontal shield was up for too long anyways. So I could kind of see that happening. Oh, the frontal shield was bugged. You know what? Funny you actually say that, because last night when I was playing, I ran into a player. Their frontal shield, I was like, man, your frontal shield is up for an awfully long time. Like, is this guy like cheating? His frontal shield was literally up for like, it must have been more than a minute. He was just jumping around. I'm like thinking, dude, is your frontal shield even going to drop at all? So, and at the end it finally did, but I wonder if he even realized. Okay, so anyways, that is the nerf to the Atlas, or at least for now. We don't know how it's gonna change next week. Now the Mauler, I heard this got actually a really bad nerf. So what do we have here? Movement speed is slower. Dark light, you have to be closer to use it. So 200 meters, 230. Slow down, plus 25. Dark light death mark. Wait a minute, so they're increasing the dark light damage? Why does it say plus 12.5? Cooldown, shorter, hook. Yeah, but the thing is, so I think what they've actually done here was, so they've made it where you can, wait, conversion duration, damage to DOT conversion, resistance. Whoa, that resistance went way down. So I think what they've done was, so they increased the dark light, the effect, but they made it where the Mauler is going to get killed real easily now. Yeah. Mounted removed by stabilization. I think the Mauler is cooked. So the reason why the Mauler is being used so much now is because it can survive provided you can dash. But if you, I think this is the name of the dash, right? The hook cooldown. But if it's going from 15 to 20 seconds and it's delayed by that much, but even if it's not that, you look at other things like this, that Mauler is going to go down real fast. So I would say that the Mauler's days are numbered. Definitely numbered. So my advice for players who are leveling up the Mauler, I wouldn't level it up more than what you have. And I would start focusing on maybe the weapons that you have for it, depending on, you know, what they nerf for the weapons. But that's how I see it. Looks like you will have to change. I think Cactus, speaking of which, hi Cactus, I think the Mauler is cooked. I mean, yeah, you can give it, so you can give it more damage. But another option actually that you could do to counterbalance this weakness, you would have to change your mothership, right? Because a lot of players use Frederick, but the thing is, you would probably have to use something like Avalon or maybe even Bifrost or something to help with your survival. So that's how I would read that. But yeah, if I was a Mauler, this is I think Mauler's days are numbered. But you know what? I kind of commented on this, and I didn't know that it was going to get nerfed. I just kind of said during my recent stream that there's a high probability, because when you drop into a game, how many games that I've been in where my team has like 4 Maulers and the other team has 4? Just say that the Mauler is balanced and it's fine. It's not, because if that were the case, why are so many players running it? Well, the reason why they're running it is because they're buying into power. So whether they won the Mauler, whether they bought it or whatever, they're still buying into power, right? It's a lot more stronger than the other Titans, hence why they run it. Now that doesn't mean I agree. Just to be clear, that doesn't mean that I agree with these nerfs. I think if anything, what I would have maybe done, like I wouldn't have gone to the extent of this. I think for me personally, I would have maybe just looked at the cooldown between the abilities just to make it a little bit more vulnerable if that were the case. I wouldn't go to the extent that they've actually done here. Because the Mauler right now, it's relatively easy to kill. For me anyways, with most of the Titans that I have. So yeah, don't think I would. I think they're going too far with this nerf. But again, just my opinion. So we have Bisaglia here. Let's see. Whoa, durability. Wow, they've given it a lot of durability. More defense points too. So I guess they're finding it like quite fragile. The fatigue shot is going to do a lot less damage. Fatigue shot damage bonus is going to go down. Bonus damage for long range shots. You know what's kind of funny is it's like they're turning the Bisaglia into a brawler. Because look how much... I mean, that's quite a big jump, that. And the defense points have given it more. So we might start seeing Bisaglias being used, I don't want to say necessarily as brawlers, but more into that brawler range, which is interesting because I enjoyed playing this with the Void. And also the Basilisk, right? So yeah, I could see I could see more Bisaglias being used. There's nothing that's mentioned about Shield Breaker, so that's good, because then you can now counter the Mauler. Although, not the Mauler, the Atlas rather. Hold on, and we've got the Eiffel. Bonus damage for the shots activated by... Holy, that's like a lot less. 25 down to 8. Bonus durability from the Cannoneer. Bonus damage for the shots activated. Yeah, I'm not sure about this here. These things, you know, you have to kind of play it. It seems like a lot, but when you play it, it may not be as bad as you think. And in some cases, it might even be worse than what you think. So the Raptor's still good. We're gonna be taking a look at that's coming further down. We're going through the Titans right now. So Rook, we've got defense points lowered, movement speed from 40 to 45. Defense points. Okay, so you know what? I think we might even start seeing more Rooks. I know they lowered the defense points here, but they've actually made this faster. And from what I understand, they've kind of nerfed the jump of the Luchador. But before we get to that, we've also got the Indra here, which has a lot of nerfs. Okay, so what's going to be happening to my baby account Indra? It's going to have less durability. The movement speed is going to be faster. Electrical lasso is going to be the radius 260 to 200 meters. That means that I can't... I think this is what it means, is that I can't hit multiple targets, right? Because it's the range has been narrowed. Electrical lasso, so I can't use it as frequently. The repairs 5% down to 3%. The damage 5 to 3. Slowdown process is plus 25. The cooldown, so this I believe is like the dashes or the transcendence. Movement speed bonus. You know what? Considering the changes being done to the Atlas and the Mauler, and I guess like to the other Titans, I don't think I'm really going to... I'm not going to stress over that. I think I'll be just fine. And again, like things can change. Because you got to remember, so I know players are like saying that it's really bad, but you're dropping by like 2%. I may not even notice that. I'll tell you what I will notice. I will notice things like the electrical lasso cooldown. And also, like, there's some healing here. Where is it? Well, no, that's a repair. That's only 5 to 3%. Yeah, I think it's more the transcendence that I'm going to notice. The transcendence and also the lasso. And obviously the durability. Why is it called the baby account? Because all of my stuff is or lower level. So my Titan is maxed out. You know, I will mention that. But as far as like my robots and my weapons, all level. Like it's not even MK2. Okay, so yeah, I'm not really... If I'm being honest, I'm not really too worried about this. because I'm factoring in that like, so the Rook is not too bad, but if I'm looking at like say for example the Mauler and the Atlas, which is I see a lot more in my games, the fact that they're getting nerfed, like I know my Indra's gonna get nerfed, but if I factor in both, it may not be as bad as I think. So yeah, I'm not gonna stress out about it, at least not yet anyways. And if things are really bad, then I can always level up another Titan. I have almost 10,000 platinum, so by the time that update hits, I'll have over 10,000. But I'm not going to overreact, because like I want to wait until these changes come to the live server first, and then I will run my Indra and see if I really need to like change things. Something you also got to kind of keep in mind: if my Titan's getting nerfed, so too is everyone else's Titan, right? So it's like, if mine's getting nerfed and yours is getting nerfed, then what's the, why am I getting so dramatic about things? So that's why I don't overreact to that. Okay, so Luchador tier 4 to 3, reduced jump distance. They didn't do anything to the reflector shield, so I guess that's good. But the jump distance kind of makes a big deal, because I remember when I used the Luchador last, I was like, man, this thing doesn't, I'm sure they must have nerfed the jump. So that means they're going to nerf it again. They're doing to the Luchador what they did to the Raptor. They just gave it a pathetic jump. It's not even a jump, it's like a hop. So this is actually the reason why I think we may see more players move to the Rook. Because if you look at the Rook, well, and I have to look at my OBS here. So I know they're lowering the defense, but this has more movement speed, and the Rook can kind of do the castling effect. So we may possibly see actually more Rooks. The Luchador is going to be very tanky, but it's also going to be very slow, right? Because if they're reducing the jump distance, which they don't even say by how much. So like, what do they mean? Reduce jump distance by, like, if it can go from 300 or 500 meters to what? They don't even mention anything here. Indra can also die very easy because it has a high skill level. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really too worried about the Indra. Like, because you got to remember, the other Titans are getting nerfed. So if, like, yes, mine is getting nerfed, but so too is others. Like, other players are going to get their Titans nerfed too. So it may not be as bad as I think it is, right? I'm just not going to overreact. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the update to hit the live server. Then I'm going to play a couple games, evaluate. And if I need to change my Titan, then I will change it. But I'm not going to do it now in anticipation, because they may even cancel the thing last minute. And they've done that before. So again, I'm not going to overreact to something I have no control over. Nodens. Okay, so what do we have here? Defense points, active support 60 to 70. 1 to 2 active support self-repairs. Okay, so this is actually a buff. Bonus defense points. So you're getting more defense points, more, slightly more healing. Okay, so we actually have a buff here to the Nodens. Although we don't even see that many Nodens out there. Now this also has me wondering, did they apply the same thing to the ultimate Nodens? Because the ultimate Nodens is kind of already broken. So that would make it even more broken. But we'll get to that in a second, right? Shuranga bonus, damage from full power. Okay, so they're going to give this more in a phase excel. Bonus damage. So they're giving it more bonus damage, but then the phase excel is not. You know what I would have done in terms of a balance for the Shuranga? For me personally, I would have boosted the damage like they've done here. And the phase exile, maybe what they should have done was either kept it as is, maybe make it even 20 seconds, and also give it like more speed. Because the problem with the Shuranga right now is it's just so vulnerable. You have the phase exile, and yes, you could phase exile, another Titan, but you're not going to be able to run away. They're going to kill you eventually. So giving it like more speed and more defense points is what I would have done with the Shuranga if they wanted to bring this more into play. So we got Heimdall, Ether. All of these have moved from tier 4 to tier 3. Coding wise. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering. Okay, so hold on a second. Okay, so now we've got Titan weapons. So now I need to kind of keep an eye on what they're going to do for the Mahavajra and the Vajra. Because remember, I use that on my for my Indra. Okay, so Void and Chasm. Damage per particle has been increased. And now they've got particle dispersion 0/300, 500. What the heck is this? Damage interval while reload. Bonus to primary mode after reload. I don't even know how to read this. Particle dispersion. If they're increasing the dispersion of the particles, the further out you go, that means that you're going to do less damage, even though they have put the damage up like this. Damage interval while in reload mode. On the Hugin, and it's super short. Yeah, that so that's over here. Yeah, I think this is a nerf, but I don't understand what this is here. Yeah, usually when you start talking about particle dispersion, for the ones who don't know, it's kind of like shot grouping. And I think that the way that they've actually done it here, because I think, so you have a range of 500 meters. So I think, is it 0? You don't have particle dispersion, or you do? No, you, oh, 50. I think what they mean is maybe further out, the particles disperse more. I could be reading that wrong, which means that you have to use it more close range, or am I getting it the opposite way? I don't know what that means. The shot grouping is nerfed? Okay, well, if the shot grouping is nerfed, right, if it disperses more, then even though it says more damage here, you're going to do less damage. That's the bottom line. Because shot grouping makes a big difference, right? Which is interesting. So while we're actually on this topic, one of the things that I experimented, this was a while back, when it came to the Ultimate Avenger, someone told me that, you know, if they had to choose 2 skills, would, you know, the question was, would you go with the speed shooter and the sharpshooter? But if you could only pick one, which one would you go? One person was telling me, well, they would go with the speed shooter because it can fire faster. So I actually ran a test where I used only speed shooter, and I used another test where I only used sharpshooter. The sharpshooter actually made a huge difference, because with sharpshooter, more of your particles are closer together with the you know, Ultimate Avenger. So more of your bullets are actually going to hit your target. So yes, speed shooter, you will fire faster, but if the dispersion of the bullets sprays, you're going to actually miss more. So you're not really doing more damage, you're actually missing more. So in a way, you're actually doing less damage, right? Because you're firing at a faster rate and it's just spraying everywhere. That would work more like if you're in front of someone, directly in front, but as they are further out, you're actually missing more. So it actually makes more sense to focus on shot grouping. So in this case, if this disperses more, even though you have more damage, you're actually doing less damage because you're missing more. So that's how I would see that. So the Munin and the Hugin. Okay, so we've got, how do we have 30? Whoa, that's a big drop. Reload 60 to 30, reload interval 7 to 6, ammo. Wow. Yeah, these got nerfed to the ground. 60 to 30 ammo. That's like half your ammo. Yeah, I would stay clear of these weapons. I wouldn't upgrade them. If you have it, okay, so here's the other thing too. if you have any of these weapons maxed out, you know, or you've spent your resources leveling it up, whatever you do not sell them. Because this game has a history where it runs in cycles. So these might be nerfed now, but later on down the road, they may buff them and it may even become meta. I said this a long time ago when they nerfed the snare, the scatty, and the hell, and players told me that, oh, I was just defending Pixonic. I told them, you know, I would not do that. Like, some of them were selling their equipment, and lo and behold, those weapons became meta. So whatever you do not, like I repeat, do not sell any of your stuff. If you have a maxed out, especially, keep it, because there's a very high probability later on down the road they're going to rebalance again, and then they're going to buff the thing. And you know, the players that sold it, they will have to get it again and level it up again. So you just save yourself all those headaches by just keeping it in your inventory. Doesn't mean that you have to sell it because it's not good now. It may be better later on down the road. With one weapon was silly. Yeah, what I didn't like about those weapons is just like the lockdown is kind of annoying. Hit you through the wall sometimes. Yeah, actually, I have had that happen. I think it happened, was on Dead City map. I think it was that one, right? The guy hit me. I got locked through the wall. I was like, how the? Like, I just spawned in too. Okay, so we've got okay, I was expecting a nerf to these weapons because they pretty much counter everything. So it looks like we are getting a nerf. Damage bonus at maximum range has been lowered. Shot interval. So wait, does that mean that it's going to fire faster? Overheat accumulation is going to overheat a lot faster. So yeah, these are... so if you play this with the range, I mean, I'm sure you can still use it, but that's quite a big nerf here. So I'm looking at more the overheated part, because that means you won't be able to keep your finger on the fire, but you have to really watch the weapon overheating, because if that thing overheats, you're going to be sitting there for a while. You're pretty vulnerable. $2,400 to $2,100 is not too much of a drop. Yeah, but the thing is, they've got overheated here. You're gonna overheat a lot faster. But I don't know, maybe that's because the other the Titans are getting nerfed, so maybe that's why they've done that. I don't know. But yeah, I was out of these weapons that we see right now, I was expecting a nerf to the Void. Well, actually, Void and yeah, a slight nerf to the Void and Chasm, the Hunan and the Mugen, yes, because I see a lot of them. But especially the Equalizer and the Arbiter, because you can use these. The thing is, these weapons, if you have it on a Basaglia, you can smoke an Atlas. If you run into an Ultimate Arthur, they're gonna get smoked too, because their physical shield can't actually block these weapons. So it pretty much counters everything out there, and for a weapon that counters everything like that, you know that's gonna get nerfed. It's just so obvious. So I was expecting that. I'm kind of surprised that they touched the Vajra and the Mahavajra. Okay, so we've got the damage per particle, so these are doing even less damage. Reload amount, so reload interval has been lowered, but that doesn't mean anything. Dispersion, vertical dispersion. The ammo is... Yeah, this one, I don't know. Like, I know a lot of players are just looking at the damage and like it drops, so it got nerfed. But there's other things here that I'm not sure about, like the horizontal dispersion, vertical dispersion. Also, the ammo has been increased. But I'm not sure about these two here, because I have the interval. So does that mean it fires faster? It may not be as bad as I think it is, but yeah, I'll let that come to the live server and then I'll test it. I'm just looking to see what else here. So on like the baby account, you know, if I don't end up using the Mahavajra and the Vajra, then I'd be looking at things like, for example, the Evora and the Veyron, which we have further down here. So hold on a second. I just have to adjust my screen. Striker. Oh man, wow, that's quite a big damage drop. Maximum charge 8. Reload amount. Yeah, Striker's cooked. Yeah, if you're upgrading a strike, I would not upgrade it at this point. Don't sell it either. If you have it, again, same thing. You know, if you have it upgraded, just keep it. But I would be looking at other options. Evora Veyron. Okay, so how does this go now? So that's like a slight. Wait, Evora. I don't even know how the way that they've got these numbers is so confusing. Dispersion is like a sharpshooter thing. Yes. Yeah, no, it's the same. It's very similar. So dispersion. So when you're firing, the particles are dispersing out, and then you have shot grouping, which is basically the like similar thing. Like if you're firing, like say, an Avenger weapon. Okay, so all the bullets. You know, as it gets fired out, if you have really bad shot grouping, it just sprays all over the place. And then you know how you have a pilot skill with shot grouping, or they call it sharpshooter. What it does is it brings the bullets closer together so that more of your bullets can hit your target. Okay, so that's what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure how to read. This is the way that they do the numbers here is so confusing. It's almost like it's done deliberately too. Like, just tell me what the damage is for each one. Like, I don't know why they do it like that. Particle dispersion. So if this means that they're increasing the particle dispersion, more of your shots is going to miss. This means here that, it's going to fire slower too. Yeah, so we got to... this is something I'm going to have to test. Again, like, so the other thing too is when you test these things on the test server, you know, what you see on the test server may not actually necessarily be even accurate. There's been cases where sometimes I would test something and I would be doing like a lot of damage, but when you read the description, it's not supposed to be that damage. So if you kind of think about that and you factor that in, it's like, well, what is actually accurate on the test server? You get what I mean? Like, so... there's just so many bugs on the test server, you don't even know what to go with. So for example, someone mentioned earlier about the Hugin and the Munin. Although they did mention that the clip size was a lot smaller, I mean, you can take that away with you and say, okay, well, this is sort of what I'm dealing with. But I wouldn't read too much into what you see on the test server, because there's just so many bugs and it's so like inaccurate. That's why I don't stress out over the test server either. It's like, there's just too many. I've tested so many things on the test server before. Some things are accurate, some things are like not even close. And sometimes, like, you could be in a game, you could be doing like, say, 5,000 damage, but then the description says you're supposed to be doing 1,000. Or like, it could be the opposite, right? It says that you should be doing 5,000 damage with your weapon, but you're doing like 1,000. You don't even know what it's supposed to be. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. Let it come to the live server and then we'll judge it. The Anguish and the Ruiner. Yeah, so this one has also dispersion. So I would imagine that that's going to make it weaker because you're missing more. Because they have plus 50, plus 33. If that's what it is. If it's not that, but I think it is that. If it was actually, the dispersion was closer together, you'd be hitting more. Damage per stack. Yeah, so for a weapon like Anguish and Ruiner, when you look at the damage per stack like this, you would have to be very close to your opponent in order to make this weapon work. So basically, if that is a style of play, you need a Titan which can get to your opponent very quickly. So that would be something like, I'm trying to think, like maybe like a Minos, like when you charge in, maybe even like an Indra. Although I've never liked these weapons on the Indra, even when they first came out and they were at their prime. What I found was if I went up against another Indra that had the Mahavajra and the Vajra, I would straight up lose. Because as I fired, they would use the ability and I would just waste a shot, and you only had like basically 3 shots in your chamber. So that's why I didn't really like these weapons. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on these. Bulava and Kiston. Sorry, I'm just scrolling here. Bulava and Kiston reload. Okay, so you're going to be able to fire these a lot more frequent, which is weird that they would buff it. But actually, I'm kind of glad that they are kind of buffing these weapons, because you don't even see these weapons being used at all. I would have actually had liked them to buff like the saw and what was the other one? Yeah, so the saw weapon, the rockets, they should have buffed those. But they might. You never know. They might add it. That's the thing with these balance change notes. Like I said, what you see this week, there's like a 70-80% chance it's gonna change next week, and they could add things and they could remove things and they can cancel things like 5 minutes before they release, which you've also done before. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so we've got the Kraton Basilisk, damage per particle. Wait, so this has gone up. So the crate has gone up and then this has gone down. Damage per stack. Okay, so that's slightly less. That's kind of interesting because, I've actually run this on the Basaglia and it was pretty good. I'm not sure how this will affect it. It doesn't seem too bad in terms of the changes. But sometimes, what you see and then what you play when you're in an actual game, it's kind of different. Okay, so we're going to move on here to pilots. Yang Li. Special skills won't work on the following titans. Newton, Eiffel, Ultimate Arming. Oh, jeez. The thing is, that's what players are using because they don't have the other pilots. Yeah, I don't... Wait. Otto Schreier now works on ARM and the ultimate versions. I'm kind of confused by this. The Otto Schreier was supposed to work on plasma. These aren't plasma weapons, are they? Yeah, so my opinion, I don't think they should have... I don't like this. They should have just left the Titan pilots as is. And this also makes no sense to me. Why would you want to have ARM L and stuff and the ultimate work with Otto Schreier? I mean, it's nice to have it work for it, but when this pilot came out, it was specifically for plasma. The universal pilot is no longer universal. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this change. Yeah, I don't like that at all. How's it gonna affect like things like my Indra and stuff? Wait, I noticed I don't have special skills. Don't work on. Well, it doesn't really matter on my Indra. My Indra's it's not even active on my Indra because my pilot's not even leveled up enough. So yeah, that's not really gonna affect me. But yeah, I don't like what they've done there. If that's what it is. Yeah, I don't like that Yang Li pilot. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the Ultimate Titans. Yeah, you know what? They should not be touching any of the ultimate stuff. Like, players have paid a lot to get these things. And I could have sworn before that they said that nothing was going to be done to the ultimate stuff. And now they're changing it. I mean, to go from 600,000 to 430,000, they're going to have a lot of angry players. I would not have even touched the ultimate author. I think if you're realizing now that it was too powerful, you shouldn't have released it that powerful. And I'm going to call them out on that. And the same thing with the Grom. Although, you know, the thing with the ultimate Grom, there was that bug and players were abusing it. So I'm kind of wondering if that factored into their decision to nerf it. But still, they shouldn't have even done it. Like, if you have that kind of a bug, you got to fix it. And if you don't fix it, then don't release it or make it or disable it until it's fixed. Yeah, any of the ultimate stuff, they should not be touching at all. Hold on. So I'm trying to scroll my screen here because so on my main monitor I can see everything, but on the OBS screen you guys can only see like a quarter. Hold on. So I have to kind of like highlight to see how far the list. Okay, so it goes as far as here. Okay, so ultimate sword durability has increased. The speed has increased. The attack duration has been lowered. Apart from the attack, all other melee attack are the same as the ordinary edition. Yeah, but you know what? They shouldn't be changing this. Like, these are all ultimate. Durability of the... Wait, they actually gave it more durability? Repulse direct. Less repulse. Yeah, that's a nerf. They gave it more durability, but they're taking away from the defense points now. Repulse. Repulse cooldown. Yeah, that's a nerf. That's totally a nerf. Why you won't be chasing any of the... Yeah, like they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Like, and I could have sworn that when they came out with the ultimate stuff, they said that they weren't going to change anything. Like now this has actually sent a message across to all like the big whales. Basically, don't spend on the ultimate stuff because it's going to change. They've shot themselves in the foot. You know, when you start to do stuff like that, players don't just forget. Hi Hector. They'll still be better than normal bots. Yeah, but they shouldn't change it. And the other thing too is like if there was a bug, they should fix it or disable it and then like put out like a news thing saying the reason why it's disabled and it will be activated once it's fixed. Like the shot grouping, I'm talking specifically because if that had an effect on or the reasoning as to why that was nerfed, you know, the Grom, then I think that needs to be addressed. Yeah, so that's... Yeah, so they have... Okay, Ultimate Griffin. This was one very annoying bot. And the blinding was just constant. So what do we have now? Dazzling Jump damage bonus. Damage bonus duration. Counter blind duration. So it's not as long. And the cooldown is... Doesn't seem too bad, but then again, you know what? When you play, it might be a different story. Okay, so I did see this when they came out with the list. I was looking at I was looking at the Ultimate Destria. The durability increase for the Ultimate Destria and the movement speed bonus. Look at that. Holy. Guys, this might be the new meta. We might all be running around with our Ultimate Destrias. I might have to level mine up on the baby account. Go big or go home. Although this is not really a big robot, but I'm just saying that's kind of crazy. If that's the accelerated, that thing is gonna be like moving fast. Oh, I should really run that. The rebalance hurts pay to win more than it does. That is also true, but I know a lot of free players will disagree because it like, you know, grinding. But it's very different if you're a paying player and you've spent thousands and then they nerf your hanger. Trust me, that's a lot more painful than you grinding for like a month, right? Because you're doing it just because like you don't have the funds to do it. But when you have the funds and then you just see everything just get nerfed after you bought it, that's worse. They didn't give the pilot or the weapon. Yeah, I don't care. But I have the... The only thing is just upgrading it costs a lot. Okay, so anyways, Ultimate Fuging, they increased the Aegis, Ultimate Spectre, Stealth Duration, 4 to 5. Ultimate Invader, Movement Speed. They made it faster. Yeah. You know what? I still don't think we're going to see as much Ultimate Invaders. for me, what was kind of a disappointment was actually the Ultimate Invader, because you would think that it would do well, but then I guess the game just evolved to the point where, you know, even having that as an ultimate, it wouldn't really help much. The Ultimate Mender even kind of falls into that category because of the crumble weapons. You can't heal, so it makes pretty much the Ultimate Mender almost like useless. And unless you can survive, there's a different story. But so they've increased the healing, and the cooldown is more frequent now. But again, if you can't heal, it doesn't matter, all these things. Damage bonus from the upgraded. Okay, so that's a buff. Absorber duration for the ultimate Ares. Hold on, let me just adjust my screen here. Built-in weapon effective duration. Okay, so we have a bit of a buff here to the, looks like Amend and the, well, Invader. Wait. So these we have a buff, and the Destria. And some of them we had a nerf, but yeah, they should not be nerfing ultimates. Not when players have spent. Okay. Wait, can you see this? There we go. Ultimate weapons. Let me guess, they're nerfing these. Yeah, they're nerfing it. Dispersion. Damage per particle. You know, I want to say that this is going to be a nerf here because you see what they're doing? It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier. If I'm reading this right, so the damage they're making it look like they're giving it more damage, so you think you're benefiting. But then if this is what they mean, where the particle dispersion means it's dispersing more, you're actually doing less damage because your particles aren't hitting your opponent unless you're right next to them. So it's a slight nerf then. But I don't know why, like, just leave it as is. Ultimate Columbus, I was expecting to get a nerf. It just does so much damage. Anyone who thinks that this doesn't do damage, get hit when you're in a Teth and let me know what you think, because this thing just smokes everything. Like, they were released way too strong. Maximum damage bonus for consecutive has dropped. Ammo has increased. Reload. Holy. Ultimate Scourge. Damage per particle has dropped. Reload. Interval increased. Ammo is reload. Yeah, all of these things they should not be touching. It's like all ultimate stuff. Ultimate Hussar. The ammo has increased. Reload threshold. Looking at the Havoc here. Shot interval. Horizontal dispersion. Vertical dispersion. Ammo. A lot of these things I would have to test on a live server. Like this here. Like, I know they up the damage, but then you look at the shot interval, it's increased. That means it's taking slightly longer when you hit your opponent, but then they've also got dispersion here, which is increased. So that means that more of your shots are missing. So even though your damage is up, so it's like the Shredder. They make the damage higher, but then the dispersion is higher too. So you're basically not even hitting your opponent. I mean, you're hitting them, but not all your shots are hitting. In other words, your weapon's nerfed. Look at the Ultimate Avenger. Oh, jeez. Yeah. They turn it into a Pez dispenser. High fire, fire, weapon from 1300 to 950. What the? And on top of that, they also, gee. Why don't they just make it a normal Avenger weapon then at that point? Yeah, no. You know what? In all honesty, when I tried the Ultimate Avenger, it wasn't even that good. I mean, I would have been running it on some of my builds, but I wasn't impressed. And now they even nerfed it further. The heck are they doing? Ultimate Vortex. Shot interval. Reload interval. But who the heck uses Vortex? Still, they should not even... You know what? I would even be buffing the Ultimate Avenger. Yeah, I wouldn't do this. That's crazy. The heck? Who do they have doing their balance, man? I know Tropico is saying ChatGPT. I can kind of see now why he says that. Might as well be a normal. Dude, it's like it's a BB gun. It's not even, I don't even know what yeah, it's not even a weapon. What am I gonna do? Tickle my opponent to death? Hi, Sergey. By the way, guys, we have 161 viewers. If you enjoy this live stream so far, make sure to hit that thumbs up, especially if you found a value with this live stream. We'll be actually, I'm kind of hoping we don't have too much to go here because we're already over an hour. I'm trying to get through the things quickly, and then I'll tell you what I'm gonna do on the baby account, so you can compare my initial thoughts to how I'm going to prepare, later on. You fed into some sort of AI. So first of all, if that were the case though, guys, I don't really see the Ultimate Avenger being even used much. So you would think naturally that if it's not being used much, it can't really be that strong. So not even that makes sense. I don't even know that, like, what are they using? Like, it's stupid. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what am I expecting here before I get into the robots? Teth, we've got Sword Unit, we've got Samjock. Let me just scroll here quickly. We've got Condor, Raptor, Ravager, Ducks, Mender, Wayland, Nightingale. Oh, we got... Okay, forget I just said that. I didn't know the list was going to go on for that long. Okay, so for Teth, in most of my games, I see a lot of Teth, I see a lot of Sword Unit, I see a lot of Samjocks. And I already said that those three are probably going to get nerfed because in the games that I play, usually the first thing I see drop in, either Teth, Samjock, sometimes a Sword Unit. Sword Units you tend to see more mid to late game. But yeah, Teth and Samjock for sure. So let's see how bad the nerfs are. Physical shield durability. 150,000. So honestly, I was expecting a nerf to a Teth. Because it's just really tanky. The first nerf, although it wasn't really a nerf to the actual Teth, it was more to tanks, was a change to unstable conduit, where they couldn't actually heal all the way back up like they could before. So that was the first nerf, which was kind of indirect. This is now I would actually consider this the first nerf, even though I guess technically it was kind of the second round. But this is the first one. So we have physical shield replacement is going to take a lot longer. Sandstorm. Physical shield durability is now lowered. So it looks like the Scarabeus, the drone, they've changed it here. So more damage for EMP. Yeah, but they've basically made the shield a lot weaker is the bottom line, which means you'll be able to bust through that shield and apply. This is where you want to use Crumble so they can't heal up. But yeah, I was expecting this to happen. Now, the thing is, will we see more rounds on nerfs to the tests or any of these? The short answer, this is just my opinion, is most likely yes. Because with this game, when it comes to buffs and nerfs, usually when they buff something, or even nerf something, it comes in rounds of 2 or 3. And you see why I actually say that, because there's a couple of bots which I mentioned before I could expect to see getting another buff. If you've been following on my channel or in my Discord, the chats, you'll see where it's actually happening, and you'll start to see these things happen. But yeah, definite nerf here. My advice for like a new player, if you like the style of play for the Teth, then sure, level it up, but I would not level up 2, 3 or even more. I think that's highly risky at this point. The fact that we're looking at the first round of nerfs to the Teth, there's about a 70-80% chance that we will see a second and even possibly a third nerf to the Teth. So I guess enjoy it now while you still can. But I'm expecting another one after this, because nothing comes just once. Unless it's like really severe, then maybe. But in this case, I can see another one happening. Okay, so sword unit, we've got the durability dropping. The movement speed has increased. Sword-based damage has decreased quite a bit. Sky 4/ cooldown. Let's see. Execute threshold. That's a little bit lower. Although, in all honesty, I don't think this is you're gonna notice that much more. I know it's percentage-wise, like you see it's lower, but I think when you actually play the game, you may not even notice that. You will notice the damage done by the sword. I mean, that's quite significantly less. So the thing with the sword unit, the reason why it's so deadly is because players can't stop shooting the purple shield. So if you go into flight and your opponent starts shooting into your purple shield, and especially if they're a Titan and they boosted their damage up and they shoot into your shield, I have a feeling, because I'm looking at this built-in weapon damage per particle, I have a feeling that the sword unit is still going to be lethal. You know, like if you don't, if players don't learn not to shoot, then it's just always naturally going to be deadly. Because players just can't help themselves. And it's funny because they blame the sword unit, but really they are contributing to making the sword unit strong. So the bottom line is, when it goes into flight, just don't shoot it. You will survive more times than not. And especially after this nerf, you will survive because you can see the base damage of the sword is now half damage. So if you shoot, you're basically boosting it from 400 to 800 and above. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Buffs and nerfs, nothing new. Yeah, exactly. It's just that this list is unusually long. Like, extremely long. I mean, gosh, I still have quite a way to go here. Okay, so Samjock, I was expecting a nerf. Durability, they gave it more durability. So did they nerf the turret? And it looks like they did. Okay, and what about the cooldown? Yep, and they did the cooldown. Yep, Samjock's days are numbered. Repairs upon existing phase 4 to... Oh, gee, wow, that's... yeah. Weapon target lead accuracy. Fuel consumption. Yeah, the Samjock's finished. One of the things that I said is if they nerf the damage to the turret and then they increase the cooldown in between your abilities, that's why they actually gave it more durability, but that's not going to help. That's not going to save it. This thing's doomed. Yeah, so if you have a Samjock or if you have multiples, I wouldn't run multiples. Running one, yes, but if you're running multiples, you're going to be in trouble if that's your hanger. But again, you know, this is why I tell players not to run multiples. But yeah, Samjock, the days are numbered because this change over here, this is going to be the biggest one. The cooldown in between your abilities, because I notice when I'm fighting Samjocks, oftentimes I'll be shooting them and, you know, you think that the ability is going to wear off, and it does. They quickly go back into ability mode. What they're doing is they're increasing the time or the window of opportunity to actually kill them. And I said that when they do that, that is going to be the end of Samjock. So I'm telling you right now, that's the end of the Samjock. That thing's finished. So we've got Condor now. Durability, they gave it more durability, gave it more speed. Voice flight duration. Cooldown. Repairs. They gave it more, but it looks like the flight has decreased from 14 to 10 seconds. Wasn't that like that before? Because I know that the Condor they nerfed and then they gave it a long flight time. Now that it looks like they took away the flight time. They should just like meet in the middle, do like 12 seconds or something. Built-in weapon damage per particle is lower. Built-in weapon shot interval. And then the built-in particle dispersion. Yeah, the Condor is not looking good. Okay, so this is the other thing too. So you know, on my baby account, on my baby account, I told players I wasn't going to upgrade the Samjock. Looks like I made the right call. I had the Condor too, but I think I have a Condor. No, wait, I don't. But if I did, I wouldn't upgrade it either. Because I tend to gravitate more towards tanks. Now, Raptor, I'm expecting a nerf because I still see a lot of Raptors, and I know when I run with the super jump, it does really well. So I was expecting, so it looks like this is the pilot that I actually use. So the healing is not going to be as much. Looks like they nerfed both pilots actually, Gloria and Gina. And then the Hawkeye built in. Okay, so I don't use. You know what? The Raptor's actually not that bad when I'm looking at it. So they have the Hawkeye here, built-in weapon, damage particle. So if you have a Hawkeye drone, you're gonna get affected. But I don't use the Hawkeye on here, so I'm gonna actually be looking at how they affect the showdown, because the Raptor build that I use, this is not really gonna make that much of a difference because I've actually run it with both pilots. So the Raptor's still going to be strong. What will have a big impact though is what they do to the showdown if it's listed here. So we haven't gotten to that point yet. Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me just scroll here. So I have to keep on looking at my screen because, yeah, like I said, on my main monitor, I can see all the way going down to Fafnir. You guys can only see like more Mender. Yeah, you guys can't even see the full Mender. That's only, yeah, I can see more than half the screen of what you guys can see. But I blew it up so that you can actually read it. Okay, so Ravager, they nerfed this last time, right? Regeneration, durability, what the? 15% or 4%. That sounds like a really bad nerf. Lockdown duration, bonus damage per stack. Yeah, that's a nerf. That's totally a nerf. Okay, so because I have a Ravager on my baby account, but remember what I said earlier at the start, and I didn't even know about this nerf, by the way. So it looks like my plan to kind of diversify away from it was a good call. So if you have like a Ravager, and you're running, say, like Hussars, or I'm trying to think, like Regulators or whatever, I would be looking at possibly something like a Pathfinder, or like even a Raven at some point. That might be another option, but wait until we go through all of these here, because they might have done something to the Pathfinder too. I don't know. And the reason why I say that is because this way you cut down on your resources. Because if you're using your resources to level up, like say, I don't know, 5 Hussars, right? You don't have to level up as much. And then of course you have the bot itself. So you're cutting down on your resources this way. The ducks, combat bot damage bonus. Man, they nerfed the ducks again. The thing is, we don't really see ducks being used much. Slowdown, cooldown 10 to 15, rust duration. Oh, it's actually applying the rust for longer now, though. But your damage... Oh, that's the pilot. And then the Webby. I don't know. It might not be too bad, because you got to remember too. So even though they're nerfing the ducks here, they're also nerfing the things like the Teth. So it may not... when it's slight like that, it may not be as bad as we all think it is. But if you're like a Teth player, you will definitely notice a difference, right? This you may not, relative to the Teth changes. Okay, so we've got Mender here. So the Mender is going to get more durability, support movement speed, 33 to... Ooh, well, that's quite a big jump. So this Mender is going to be... It's going to be moving fast. Support bonus defense points, and it's going to get more defense. So the Mender actually got more tankier here. And we're actually getting to the Demeter. But I'll talk about the Demeter when you get to that. The Wayland. Who the heck uses a Wayland? Support mode repairs per pulse. So the Wayland's going to heal more, and it's going to get more defense points and more movement speed. No, wait. Less movement speed. Wait, what? Yeah, I would have increased it. But even then, no one uses the Wayland. Who cares about the Wayland? Wait, who uses the Wayland? Put it in the chat. Do you guys use the Wayland? I don't use the Wayland. I think someone asked me to use the Wayland in a dream hanger, and the thing just died. Who uses the Wayland? I think they should have increased the speed. Although even with that, no one would use it. I don't know. Nightingale. Nightingale is actually getting faster. Air support repairs per pulse. So it's actually healing more, and the suppression, suppression's going to do less damage, but it's going to move a lot faster, that's really nice. And then support damage per particle. Okay, so that's a bit of a buff to the Nightingale. That's nice to see. Rapid is going to like that because he's big into his Nightingale. No one uses the Wayland. Poor Wayland. But it also depends on like what league we're in too, right? Because if most of us are like in Master Champion, no one uses that bot. Maybe in the lower leagues. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the Demeter. So I think the last, we didn't have technically we didn't have a balance thing, but what I did notice, remember like kind of recently they buffed the Demeter. I think they buffed was it the healing? I think they buffed the healing. Because I remember distinctly, we were having this discussion in Discord, and I said that every time with this game, when they buff or they nerf, they usually do it in rounds of 2 or 3. Sometimes they do it in rounds of 1, and it'll be a really severe nerf or a buff. More nerf, and then they won't touch it. But those times are like kind of rare. Usually it happens in 2 or 3 waves. Well, we got a buff like a couple of months ago, and I think it was to the healing. And I said in the chat on Discord, I said, just watch. There's about a 70 to 80% chance that they are going to buff the Demeter. Look at that. Well, what do we have here? So they buffed the range. The cooldown time has been buffed. The repairs have been buffed, right? Look at that. So my baby account, Demeter, survived. Actually, it got stronger and I did nothing. That's what I mean. And I think they buffed the Fafnir last time too, didn't they? So this is like the second round, which means there's a chance that there might be another round of buffs. I don't know if there's going to be another round of buffs to the Demeter because this is quite a bit. But there is a chance that they might buff it again. But the Fafnir, last time I think they gave it more speed or something. So this is the second round now that they've done it. And they did it for the Hawk too, if I remember correctly. So these 3, this is now the second round of buffs that they've done to these bots. In other words, they're following that pattern that I just said. Usually it happens in 2 or 3. This might be the last one, or there might be even more after that. It's possible. But built-in weapon damage here for the Fafnir looks like it has been buffed. Bonus damage accumulation and the shapeshift. Yeah, I'm kind of happy that they're giving the Fafnir a bit of love here because you don't really see it being used, but I think it's also because, players running things like Shield Breaker. The other thing that they could actually do, or they should maybe consider, I don't know how this would play out. So the Absorber Shield, when you take flight, you have the Absorber Shield, maybe having that up for a little bit longer. I don't know if that's going to really help it, but I would have maybe either done that or give it even more speed. So that at least, you can evade shots. It's still going to get shot down because the thing is, after your Absorber Shield drops, the Fafnir is like a paperweight. It goes on very quick. So, I guess they can kind of adjust things based on that, but yeah. You'll have to look up what? In my Discord? I'll try to see if I can find it. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure like the Hawk, I think they buffed it the last time too. So reflected damage is getting stronger now, and the built-in weapon is gonna fire for longer, which is interesting because if you have a Hawk, this is a slight buff. In fact, you know what? I would be comparing this Hawk now to the Condor to see how the two compare, because the reflector shield on here that's quite strong. I don't know what the Harpy's reflector shield is, but I know with the Harpy, if you shoot the Harpy, if you're not careful, you could kill yourself because the reflector shield on the Harpy is quite strong too. Okay, so hold on. So we got a Seraph. What is this? A buff? They buffed the health, and the weapon damage has been buffed, and also the movement speed. Okay, so we got a buff here for the Seraph. Nice seeing some buffs for the older bots. Hold on, let me just scroll here so you guys can see a little bit more. The Mars has been, the Aegis has been buffed, the turret has been buffed, and also movement speed has been buffed. Okay, so it looks like we might see a little bit more Mars out there. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference, but I don't know. Is there anyone that runs the Mars in the chat? They will buff it until everyone starts using it, then they will nerf it. You know, so I know that there's that argument where players tell me the reason why Pixonic buffs something is so that like especially the new content, why it's so strong, is so that players buy it and then they nerf it. But that argument, if you think about it logically, wouldn't that make sense for anything in the game then? Because technically they could make something that's old really strong, right? And then players get it. That's the same thing. So they don't really need new content to do that. They can even do that with, because they know for a fact that players buy into power. You think you sold it, your Mars. Yeah, what did I tell you guys? You got to be careful selling stuff just because it got nerfed. Because you never know, like it can come back. It has happened before. Okay, so the Strix durability, they gave it more durability. They gave it more movement speed. And, so that's actually a buff for the Strix. Interesting. I wasn't actually expecting that kind of buff, but is it because, I can't say it's because players aren't running it, because they are. It's not like a bag. I would say this is more popular than the Baglior, which I don't see any Baglior listed, which is interesting. So anyways, let's just move on here. So we've got some robot, what is this? Robot weapons. Hedge it, dish it. Expecting a nerf for this. Ammo down, reload time is down, but the damage per particle has been nerfed. So how are we reading this now? Is it 5.7 to 4.3? 8.6 to 6.4. Damage has been nerfed. That's the bottom line. These arm weapons are crazy, so I was expecting a nerf to this for sure. And it looks like we are getting a nerf. So what is this? 4? I think it's like 4. Yeah. No, it's a definite nerf. And the ammo is being lowered. Reload. 20 to 15. Yeah, so the thing with these arm weapons, it's percentage based, so it does more damage to tanks. But you notice it especially when you're shooting Titans. So I was kind of expecting this for at least these two. Ganju and Kieran sort of expecting as well, because of the crumble effect. Hold on, let me just scroll a little bit here so that you guys can see that part of the screen. Wait. There we go. Let's see. Okay, so I think it's 1,330 to 925, right? I think that's how it is. And then 2,000 to 1,300. Okay, so the damage of the Ganjil, Mogwan, and Kieran is going to be lower. Shot interval is going to... So they're going to fire faster. No, wait. Shot interval, reload interval. Yeah, but then they're doing the whole dispersion thing again. They're increasing the ammo. So, I think this is... Is this a second round of nerfs to these weapons? I think it might be the second round. Because I think they used to fire a lot faster, then they slowed it down and even stopped using it. Little did they know that you needed these weapons to especially counter the Teth. So I still think we're going to see these weapons being used. but not for like the damage. It's more for the crumble effect. Which means if you have these weapons, I would definitely not sell them, and I wouldn't just ditch him straight away, because you may still need them. These weapons are very valuable when it comes to fighting tanks. It's that crumble effect, you know, like if you can't heal, it makes a world of a difference. And I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing with my baby account after seeing this. Okay, so we know that it's getting a nerf damage-wise. We've got the Howler, the Growler, the Screamer. Okay, so how am I reading this now? 3... Wait, so 3-8 to 4-1, right? Is that how it is? This is so confusing. And then 5-7, is it 5-7 to 6-1, and then 7-6 to... Wait, so is this increase in damage? They got the whole particle dispersion thing. You have at least one on your tests. Yeah, no. I think it's important to have that, at least for now. It's the effect that you're interested in, not the damage. I mean, it's nice to have the damage part, but the effect makes a huge difference. And I think, the tests are going to go down real fast. I'm reading it correct. Okay, so the damage particle. So this is actually going to be increasing in damage. So something like the Howler and the Screamer, these weapons, depending on, you know, how this goes. Wait, they get damage bonus for subsequent shots. How the 10... Yeah, because now I'm like really confused by this. Damage per particles. The bottom line is you have more... Okay, so it's increasing in damage, and the ammo has increased. The capacity has increased. So something like this might be actually... Like, these weapons might actually work really well on something like a Fenrir. If I'm reading this right. Also, maybe even using it on something like a Ravana could work. Or like a Pathfinder. Okay, so this might be an option for like that mid-range. The Aramis, the Portos, and the Aethos. Reload. Okay, that's a nerf. Yeah, you know what? I'm not really a fan of these weapons. I never really was. After they got the nerfs before. Definitely wouldn't focus on them now. I know the reason why players use them is to heal up, because I think they can survive for longer. But if you're not really doing that much damage to your opponent, you're just basically feeding them silver. So I wouldn't... if you have it leveled up, keep it. Don't sell it. But I wouldn't go out of my way to upgrade it, is what I'm saying. Okay, so Regulator. We've got damage decrease. Damage bonus for long range shots. Particle. Ooh. Yeah, I would stay away from Regulator. Just based on what I'm seeing here, this is a pretty bad nerf. Unless, of course, they change things. But the way that I see it right now, I wouldn't touch it. Also, if you have it leveled up, don't sell it. Because, again, they may buff it. Or they probably will at some point. Let's see. Oops. Okay. Magnetars. Increase in damage, reload time, 4 seconds, ammo. Wait, why did they reduce the ammo? So they increase the damage, reload time. It's like they're trying to turn it into a shredder. What the heck are they doing? Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to affect it. I think this is more of a nerf for me, but I'd have to play and see. The drop in ammo capacity from 24 to 10 is a big one. It was all going well up until this point, and then I saw this. I was like, oh. They build up the hype, and then they just like knock you down. You're like, ah, gee. Yeah, I don't know about the Magnetar, although I don't really use the Magnetar much. It depends on what the build is. Would it be a good idea to replace the Growlers on you over the Regulators? If what I'm seeing is correct, then yes. But again, going back to my point on the Ravager, you have to kind of keep in mind. So the Ravager itself actually got nerfed. Now, if it got nerfed and it's going to go down a lot faster, you have to look at things like your drones in order to complement the weakness of that Ravager. Another option is to move to another platform, as in like another bot, which has similar weapons, like medium range weapons that you would run, you know, those particular weapons on for that mid range. So that's why I was mentioning like a Pathfinder or even like a Raven, right? Because they have, you can equip it on those bots. A Raven's really versatile too because you can jump. So just something to think about. Also, because if you are doing something like say a Pathfinder, you're only leveling up 3 rather than like the 5. So you're cutting down on your resources that you need in order to stay competitive. You're actually cutting it down, but you're making your hanger more versatile, so you can actually upgrade instead of wasting all your resources on what would have been the Ravager. You're using it to do it on the Pathfinder, and you can actually upgrade more, right? Because now you're dealing with fewer weapons. You're getting more bang for your buck is what I'm saying. Okay, so Prisma, let's see, what do we have here? Bonus, 100% ammo is increased. Reload interval 1 to 2. Oh man, yeah, Prisma's cooked. I would stay away from Prisma. Although I you know, I don't use Prismas anyways. Prismas, Reapers, I stay far away from those weapons because I know, like, you know, if you want to get damage in, I tend to focus on mid-range, anything mid-range and under. I stay away from long range. There's a reason for that. For example, this. Reaper. Ouch. Wow, look at the damage drop in that too. The ammo is going to increase in the reload. Yeah, Reaper's cooked too. I would stay away from it. If you have it leveled up, don't sell it. Okay, so remember last time they buffed the Trickster and, well, they did the Deceiver. So did this get a buff? So yeah, Dispersion and the ammo and the reload 30 to 36. So it takes a little bit longer, but it looks like the Dispersion. So the shot grouping, if what I'm reading here, the shot grouping is a little bit close and the ammo, there's more. And it, again, follows what I said before. If they buff it, usually it's not just one buff or one nerf. There's usually 2 or 3 rounds. This is a second round, by the way, for the Deceiver. They didn't touch the Trickster, I think, last time. But they did do the Deceiver, from what I remember, and it was a buff. So this is the second round. So there's, I guess at this point, about a 50% chance we might see another buff to this, possibly, because it's on their radar. So now we got the Shatter Splint and the Brissant. Horizontal Dispersion. Okay, so if I'm reading this right, the way that we're reading Dispersion, this is actually a buff to these weapons. So if you have these weapons, might be something that you want to test out when this change happens, when these balance changes happen to the live server. Might be something you want to take a look at. Or even on a test server. I don't know if you'll be able to notice a difference, but that, from what it looks like, is a buff, if I'm reading things right. Okay, so we're going to go to the drones here. The Oppo last time got a nerf, so I would imagine this is another nerf, right? Because that was, what's it, first round? I think it was a first round. They nerfed the shield. Damage per particle. Built-in weapon particle dispersion. To activate flight time. Oh yeah, that's a nerf. Because you have to be, so you can't use this. I think what they doing here, you can't use this on a jumping bot, right? Because they're saying here required flight duration to activate the Aegis shield. So you need to be in flight for 7 seconds. If you're not in the air for 7 seconds and you don't benefit from, yeah, so that's a nerf. Cleanse stacks can only be accumulated from Leo. Yeah, so this, I think this is the second round on nerfs. This might be the last one. There's a possibility that they might nerf it again, but I don't think after this. I have a feeling that this might be the last. Haruko, bonus durability. Okay, so they're nerfing this because they're giving it less health. Upon activating a module, ability 4 doesn't provide for the 1% damage bonus per stack of remains. Built-in weapon. Okay, so this is definitely a nerf. I'm trying to recall, did they nerf Haruko last time? Because if they didn't, there's a slight chance that it might get another round. The Raven with a double jump is 7 seconds. I don't know. I don't know. You'll have to test it. I think what they're trying to do here with the Oppo drone is to make it where it only works on like flying bots. So for example, if you put it on like a Favnia, you could definitely benefit from it. Although the only thing is with the Favnia, I'm not sure if... I guess it will work, actually, come to think of it. So with the Favnia, when you go into flight, right, your absorber shield goes up. But this Oppo drone might actually help, because think about it. Your Aegis shield's not going to activate until 7 seconds, which is a good thing for the Favnia, because the Favnia, when you go into flight, your absorber shield activates to absorb the damage. If you're in flight for 7 seconds, then your Aegis shield will pop up, which will actually protect your Favnia. Think about it. It might be a slight... I mean, it's not going to protect it for very long, but it will absorb at least some damage, allowing your Favnia to get even more damage in. So I think actually, so if you have a Favnia, this might actually be a really good change for you, because the way that your shields will be broken up, it will be split rather than being activated straight away. Because the thing that I wasn't sure about before with the Oppo drone, if you had it on a Favnia, so when you go into flight, you have an absorber shield, but then if you had the Aegis shield, does your Aegis shield block your absorber shield? Because if it does, you're actually not absorbing the damage, so that your built-in weapon can do more damage. But this change would actually allow for that, right? Because you would go into flight, you would absorb the damage. Your Aegis shield won't be activated until you're 7 seconds in, which would actually help your survivability of that Favnia. So this might actually be a really good change for the Favnia. You don't get a shield in the air. Oh, after you land? Oh, it's upon landing, but you will still have it though. Oh wait, they didn't nerf the wait, what? Yeah, they have Shy here, the defense points. Oh wait, Shy got nerfed last time, so this is like this is third. Oh, you get 150 after landing? I think it will still benefit. It will still benefit the Favnia, because you're going to be in flight for longer, hopefully, right? So when you land, you will get 150, 1,000. Fly 7 seconds, you'll get the shield, then you drop... Well, you have to drop down first, and then you will get the shield. But it would work... It would still favor the Favnia, because a Favnia versus a robot that jumps, because, you know, like, players were using it on... Well, they were using jump on everything so that they could kind of like, I don't want to say exploit. They could get the shield. But that won't work now. So Favnia would work because you can be in flight for like an indefinite amount until you land. And you have control over that too. Hi, excellent. Okay, so yeah, so the Shy got nerfed. I think this is the... I'm trying to remember. Is this a second? How many times did the Shy get nerfed? I know it got nerfed before. The last... well, we said it wasn't the last stand. It was the first stand. So I think that was the first one. Or did they do another one after that? So this is a second round that they did. Okay, so I'm trying to think. There probably isn't going to be another one after this. I don't think. Because that's already 2 rounds of nerfs. I think it's 2 rounds to the Shy and the Oppo. Maybe I should try it on the test server. I could, but I'm not going to. So you know what I was actually going to do today? I was going to release the video on the new Titan, but I didn't have time to do it last night because I was choosing the winners and announcing and rewarding the prizes for the sword unit. So I decided to get that out of the way, and then I decided to do a live stream on this for today, and then show how I'm going to be adjusting things on the baby account. So hopefully, you know, players, the free players, get an idea in terms of, I guess, like a roadmap. This way they can get value from that. And then tomorrow I will try to release a video on the Titan. So I'm not going to do a separate video on the balance changes because, again, like I said, what you see now, there's like a 70-80% chance. By the time that this hits a live server, there's going to be stuff that's changed. There's going to be stuff that may even be cancelled. And there might be even stuff that they add to this. Who knows? And there's no... You can prepare to a certain point. But I think stressing out over something that you have no control over, it's not going to really get you very far. So I'm just like preparing, you know, based on what I have. Okay, so anyways, let's move on here, guys, because we still have a little bit to go. We've got the Frederick, the Frozen Scorn, Avalon, Bifrost. So we have a lot of motherships. So the damage bonus for the Frederick is dropped a lot, so that's a nerf. Movement speed has dropped, and the stack decay. Okay, so Frederick is definitely a nerf. I was expecting this to happen. I think they did nerf it last time. So this is like the second, I think it's the second round of nerfs. Let's see, Frozen Scorn. 9-2. This is kind of like a nerf too, but I don't really use Frozen Scorn. But they have it here. Okay, so Avalon got a nerf too. Okay, this will affect my baby account. But again, I'm not really stressing out too much about it because, again, you know, yes, it's affecting me, but it's also going to affect my opponents, right? Because no one... It's not like you're just automatically going to have a stronger hanger. It's going to take time for everyone to adjust. So I'm not really too worried about this. And the other thing too is my baby account is such low level stuff. I highly doubt that I'm gonna like it's gonna make a difference. Bifrost, defense points accumulation, duration of retaining the maximum amount of defense points. Okay, so it looks almost like they want players to shift now to the Bifrost, because I think if I'm reading this right, this is a buff. Okay, so I think we're gonna start seeing more players use Bifrost. Paladin repairs. This has been nerfed. Beholder. Hold on, let me just scroll. Oh, I have to scroll a lot more. There we go. Beholder. So the damage blast is now applied correctly, whatever that means. But that's actually that's quite a nerf. And then the mute, blind and impaired duration 9 seconds. Okay, so mute actually got a slight buff here. Mute and Bifrost. Everything else, I think, got a nerf, right? You know what's kind of interesting? So, you know, at the start of the live stream, if you were here earlier, I did the shipyard thing this weekend, and I got the keel. But I noticed nothing is mentioned here, so I actually kind of lucked out because I can use it as my attack. So now what I need to focus on... is... Because I try to get like an attack mothership and then a defense one. I can still use the Avalon, but if I luck out and I have the Bifrost, that might be something that I want to consider. But even with this nerf here, I think my baby account will be fine using this as a defense, because I was using it before, and it is maxed out, so I think I'm fine. I actually wanted, so on the baby account, I actually wanted the Frederick for my attack, but just looking at what I'm seeing here, I think I maybe made the right call playing that game and getting the keel. The keel one-shots a crisis. Well, I guess that's good then, because I can use my keel to take out campers. Okay, wait. Oh, wait. Titan specializations. Okay, we're almost at the end. That's the end. Thank goodness. What a list. Yo, it took us 2 hours to get through this. Gee. I thought it was only going to be an hour and a half. Titan specialization, self-fix reactor. Okay, so they're nerfing the self-fix reactor. So, you know, getting back to the luchador, by the way, because I know a lot of players run is a Titan repair amp and a self-fix. So basically your luchador is going to get weaker. This is why I mentioned to players that I'm not sure, like I would still tend to gravitate more towards Indra because of things like this. Now, yes, your your reflector shield, that's the other thing. Nothing was touched on the reflector shield, so you have that going for you, but then they nerfed the jump. But this, you will notice something like this. You may notice this on your luch. Okay, just kind of in Titan repair amplifier, and here we go. So things like this you will notice on the luchador, because remember, the luchador is more exposed. Yes, you will have the reflector shield, but once that drops, these are the things that you will actually notice. You may notice it on the Indra too, but remember, the Indra also has a transcendence, so you're not actually taking any damage during those periods. So they would have to really nerf the Indra where the ability is not as long, in order for me to really notice things like this. This does mean, though, that I have to be careful with the Indra if I'm exposed for too long, because that's when this actually kicks into a gear. You can use anti-control. Yes, but if you're taking a lot of damage, your Titan repair amp won't kick into gear fast enough. You will actually die. That was one of the reasons why I was using, because I think I did try Titan anti-control, and I think I might have even mentioned it in Secrets Revealed, where I said I tested it out, and if I was getting locked down a lot, then yes, I would use that. But I actually found that I was dying a lot quicker because I was just taking on damage so fast from other Titans. My Titan repair didn't have time to really kick into gear, and I just got killed. Yeah, so that you may notice that. Ultimate specialization track. Damage and durability. Ultimate plated. Wait, they gave that even more? Antimatter reactor, more damage. Ultimate gram balance. Gee, man, they're making... Well, it depends on which ultimate you're running. And obviously they didn't touch the Nodens, I noticed. So that means that thing's going to be even more stronger. Gee. Yeah. I'm going to call it right now. We're going to see a nerf to that ultimate Nodens. Because you're going to notice it in the games. You just can't kill it. And now they actually... And the other things too is they nerfed other stuff. The ultimate. Anyways, robot specialization. The robot and overdrive unit module slot swapped. Wait, what? Wait a minute. I'm trying to actually look. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen here. I don't have Titan specializations. Oh, you guys can't see the bottom. Wait, I need to adjust my OBS screen. Hold on, guys. You can't see this because it doesn't go all the way. Whoops. I have to kind of move this up a bit. Wait, can I move it? It doesn't want to scroll. Hold on. I have to move it manually because it doesn't want to scroll all the way up. Because it's the end of the scroll thing. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is... What I'm looking at is... let me see if I can highlight it. Accelerate and overdrive unit module slot swapped. This might be a big deal, this. I'm trying to think what... Wait, what do they mean by this? Operator, beacons capture bonus, robot accelerate movement. And overdrive unit swapped. I don't know what they mean by that. Okay, so anyways... Before I leave this Discord, the whole list here, just a couple of comments, things that I like. I don't like that they've especially done. So what I don't like is that they've actually tampered with the ultimate stuff, because they said specifically when the ultimate stuff came out, I believe they said that, you know, those things weren't going to be adjusted. And now they're adjusting it. So I'm going to be calling them out on that, because, you know, you can't say one thing and then you start changing it like that. Where is it? Ultimate. I think I passed it. Yeah, this all these ultimate things, like not just robots, like the Titan, like the Arthur. They should not be doing this. And also the ultimate Grom, when they start nerfing this, is this based on the fact that players were using that exploit and now they contributed to those numbers? That's why they're nerfing it. I'm not sure if that's the reason why. But bottom line is they should not be tampering with any of these, because, you know, players have spent a lot of money getting these ultimate this ultimate equipment and then just basically nerfing it. I don't say to the ground, but like if you look at like the ultimate Arthur here, just to give you an example, you've got durability going from 600 to 430,000, and then look at the defense points. Wait, I have to scroll up here, because now I shifted my screen thing. So yeah, I don't like what they've done with the ultimate stuff. There's quite a few questionable like changes that they've made. The other thing that I want to mention too, so again, I'm going to stress this. There's about a 70 to 80% chance that what we see here now is going to be different to when they release stuff, you know, on the live server. So having said that, I'm not going to get, how do I put it? I'm not going to get emotional about some of these changes, because like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, there's going to be nerfs. Yes, there's going to be buffs. Yes, some of my equipment's going to get nerfed, but so is my opponent. There's so many moving parts here that it's going to be hard to kind of navigate through all of this. And I think when players are going to be adapting is once everything is on the live server. My prediction is that for the first, I want to say like 2 weeks, because there's so many changes. For the first 2 weeks, we're going to see a lot of variety, because players need to find their bearings. And that is probably when you're going to see a lot of posts saying that, you know, players are happy because of the balance, you know, the games feel more balanced, but it's only going to be temporary, because after that period, what's going to happen is the strong players and the ones that actually understand the game, they're going to find out what actually works. And then you're going to start to see the next meta emerge. So what we're actually seeing right now is, and you will notice this happen really often in this game. Usually there's a period where when we get a really big rebalance like this, it throws everyone off balance. The games will seem somewhat balanced for the first 1 or 2 weeks, and then a new meta emerges. So we're basically on the cusp of a new meta forming. We don't know really what it's going to be, but it is coming. And I don't know what it's going to be. That's with my experience. I don't know where we stand with that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my to the baby account. Knowing what I know based on, you know, what I've seen, does this make me change things that are in my hang-up? So first of all, is it going to make me change leveling up my Indra? No, it's not. Is this going to kill the Indra? I don't know. I don't know. So the thing is, they've actually nerfed the things like the Atlas, the Mauler. And if those are getting weaker, yes, mine's getting weaker, but they actually took... I mean, you look at the nerf to like the Mauler, that is a really big hit. So relative to that hit, maybe my Indra is going to be fine. So I'm not really going to stress out about it. You know, I will handle it when it comes. In the meantime, I'm going to be stockpiling my platinum. Now, the thing is, what would I get, or what would I level up? You know, if the Indra is not performing, you know, based on what I have here. I actually don't really know. I mean, I might be looking at maybe the Heimdall. I don't think I would level up the Luchador. The Basaglia is very tempting, actually, when I look at the Basaglia. I mean, you know, just based on the Titans that I have now, I think I would actually still kind of lean more towards the Indra. The Indra would have to perform really poorly for me to change my mind. So that's where I stand with the Indra. As for the Ravager, I will be shifting away from this just because of the amount of resources I need in order to level up the weapons. I didn't see anything in terms of changes to the Raven or the Pathfinder. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to shift to the Pathfinder. They are changing the Hussars and they are changing the Regulators. So now I'm looking to see what I could run. I do believe that they did buff the Growlers, or they're thinking of doing that. So what I'll start to do is I will start to look at upgrading my Growlers. Okay, but in the meantime, I would still use, maybe what I would do is I would use maybe the Hazard. You know, so I would run, so I wouldn't run this, I would run, because I have upgraded my, I'll just show you here. I might as well just build it now. Just so that you guys can see. Although I will be switching this anyways, because... so I'll probably end up doing something like this. And this is just like a temporary thing. Wait, I thought I had... Yeah, okay. I think I was going to level up the other Cryptic. Because they didn't do anything... Again, they didn't do anything to the Hazard. So these will still pack a punch. I may want to upgrade the Cryptic though, because I have 2 more. But I'm just showing you what I will end up doing with this. Okay, so I would probably either build something like this. But I do actually want to upgrade the Growlers, although I only have 2 here. So for now, I think I would just stick with something like this for my Pathfinder. They are nerfing the Mog ones. The Ganjiel, the Mog ones, and the Kirans. But I'm not really too worried about that because, again, I'm using that more to apply the crumble effects. I can kill things like Teth and, like, you know, Fenrir's, any kind of tank. I did upgrade... Again, this is just something that I tested this past weekend. If you were a member of the channel, you would have seen this yesterday. So what I actually started doing, because I did test the Cestus, and I was like, whoa, these weapons are actually doing quite a bit of damage. So I actually started upgrading these, and you might notice my silver just plummeted and my gold. It's because I had a 45% discount yesterday. So I rushed the upgrades on my Cestus. So I have 2 in the event that I need to run it on my links. Okay, so I have that as a backup. I actually have a lot of weapons for backup. This is why I focus on weapons. Now you know why I do it. So I have I could use hammers. I know they nerfed the glaciers, but I have that too. Screamer, I have 1 here leveled up. Redeemers, which is what I was running. I have my boombox devastators, which are leveled up. Again, Kiran, I did that. I have another Screamer here, which I might want to level up too. But yeah, I have the Cestus, so I did level those up just in case. This is why, now you can see now why I focus so much on weapons, because when these updates happen, it gives me a way to adapt at a faster rate. Because if you just focus on the new stuff and that gets nerfed, you're going to be kind of screwed when it happens. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as is for now. They did nerf these, but you know, to be honest, like, this is just like a replacement. I actually wanted to build like a full Mog 1 build for this. My Demeter will get a buff. So the other thing too is the Shatters. So I'll be focusing on, again, you see how I'm starting to level up the Labrys and stuff, because they were actually performing like surprisingly well for me when I did the like some tests yesterday. So I'm focusing on like Labrys, but I think I'm gonna also start to focus on like the Shatter weapons, because they did buff that. So I'm starting to kind of focus on a couple of things here, but I'm not gonna shift majorly. My mothership, I have the Cure, which I got yesterday when I was opening up from the shipyard thing. But the Avalon is still going to be my go-to. Okay, so we're gonna have this here. And I mean, what else did they change? They didn't affect any of my robots. I don't think I saw the Archo there. I'm actually still working on my other Archo. I just need to get some more of these module chips, because I would like to max it all out. So I have that. It's almost ready to move all my weapons and stuff. Yeah, but you know, honestly, like if anything, so my Demeter got stronger. Some of my weapon setups got a little bit weaker, but I have replacements. So in the end, it's not really going to affect me, I think, as much as players think. Hey, Gort. You don't know what Titan you're going to be using? What Titan were you using before? Lockdown will go good on the kill. Yeah, it might. Like, some players have it. What weapons would be good for the Nodens and the Heimdall? Okay, so I don't want to recommend any weapons and stuff now for like things like the Titans, because I want that list to be finalized just in case I tell you something and then they end up actually nerfing those weapons which may not have even been listed. You see, that's always the risk that I face now, because like I know to a certain point, but I also know that the list can change a lot. There's actually been cases, I don't know if you recall, this was a while back, they had a planned nerf, I think, for the Luchador, and they cancelled it like 5 minutes before the release. I think it was like 5 minutes. Which just goes to show you that they can have all of those things and they can cancel it in an instant. So what you saw in the list that I showed you in today's live stream, some of it may happen, and a large chunk I'm sure will happen. But there's a 70-80% chance what you saw in today's live stream, it's going to be different next week. They can remove some things, they can add some stuff to it. We actually don't know. So as a player, I don't know how to I don't want to say I don't know how to navigate through that. I'm just not taking it as seriously until it hits a live server, but I will be preparing certain things, knowing roughly the direction that they're going. So for example, like my Indra, I'm not going to all of a sudden start maxing out a Luchid or whatever. Even though I have the Platinum to level up one, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to jump right into that. I'm going to wait until that actually comes to the live server. Then I'm going to gauge how I do with my Indra. If it performs okay, then I'm going to keep stockpiling my Platinum. If I need to change, then I will look to see how the other Titans are performing, and I will base my decision on that. As for like the weapons, well, I know that the Redeemer is probably going to get a nerf, so do I have a replacement? That's the main thing. The reason why I tell players to focus on the weapons, not their robots, is so that when these changes happen, you have replacements. Do I have a replacement for my Lynx? Well, I have one Screamer. I started leveling this up. I need to level up the other one. I have hammers. Okay, so I have hammers. I have Kirans. You can see I've got 2 here. I've got Devastators, which I've leveled up. I've got Cestus, which I leveled up. So do I have replacements? Yes, I do. And this is why I tell you guys to focus on those weapons. I know players tell me that, no, it's better to focus on the robots, but now you kind of see why I do things the way that I do it, so that when these changes happen, I can adapt faster and it doesn't affect me as much. In fact, I could go on vacation for 2 months. We could come back, and you might think that I've fallen behind by a lot. I will catch up just as fast. Because, you know, nothing will change. It's always like that. You may not think so, but I've actually taken like 2-month breaks on this account. And I caught up. Like, it didn't take me much. It's because I focus so much on weapons. Like, even, like... Although I know I'm building this, I actually had... okay, so we have a... Wait, I have another kill here. Another Avalon. Yeah, so I'm probably going to sell... Well, you want to collect it first and then sell it, because apparently you get more silver. But looking at, like, my Avalanche... Like, I actually... It's funny. I started building it because I wanted to level up, but I didn't know what else to build. So I just kept on building like Avalanche. So we have, yeah, we have one that I started. No, we got 5. Yeah, we got 5. Yeah, you can see I started to level it up. We also got punches, by the way. So if all, like, I have punches here too, but it just shows you that I've already started to diversify my weapons, so that when these changes happen, I'm ready. You're gonna use your Kid Titan. If all else fails, I have my Arthur, guys. Don't forget. Which one is better, the Ultimate Mender or the Demeter? So again, like, so in my opinion, like, if I had a choice between leveling up a Demeter and an Ultimate Mender, I know a lot will say, well, the Ultimate Mender, because obviously it's an ultimate. For me, I actually have more, I think there's more value in the Demeter. Because if you think about it, if it comes to late game when Titans are out, Demeter is just more valuable. You can use it to protect your team's Titans. You know, like, so if you have, say, like a Maul on your team that's struggling and looks like they're going to die, you can teleport to them and you can block the enemy team's fire. Now, if you're an Ultimate Mender, yes, I get it's an ultimate. The thing is, you don't have a shield. So if you were to run out to the Maul and try to heal them, what do you think your opponent's going to do? Well, they're going to target you and their weapons will eat right through your Mender. So your Mender, like, you would have to run it like at the start of the game, I think. But even then, I don't even know it's going to survive. Because you got to remember, so the other thing with the Mender is if you get hit by crumble weapons, you can't heal. So even after all of those buffs, I don't think it's going to help it as much as most think. Demeter, for me, is the way to go. And while, yes, I know it's an older bot, and yes, I know you can technically build it in the workshop, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, in terms of its use, for me, if I had a choice, I would level up a Demeter. It's also cheaper, by the way, because ultimates cost more. If you want, so the other thing too is, if you want this to heal more, instead of going with the Jerry Fortune, I would go with the App Meter. If that's what you're going for, if you want the extra healing. But I'm more for damage, so that's why I'm going with the Jerry Fortune. You have, yeah, but don't sell it, because again, there's gonna be a time, so when they nerf, like, the reason why the Ultimate Mender, you know, the Ultimate Fenrir, the Ultimate Lancelot, the Teth, the reason why they're actually vulnerable now is because of those crumble weapons. If they were to nerf these to the point where you can actually start healing again, that is when you want to bring out your Ultimate Mender, because that's when it's going to shine. It's just right now, there's too much rust and crumble out there that you can't heal. That's why your Ultimate Mender is going down fast. You want to, yeah. You went for a nap. Yeah, it's a 2-hour live stream, unfortunately. Okay, so guys, hopefully that kind of sheds light onto how I'm going to be approaching the rebalance. Okay, there's a lot of questionable balance changes, a lot of things I don't like especially the changes to the ultimate stuff. They should not be touching that. I mean, if you want to build a loyal player base, you gotta, first of all, you shouldn't be nerfing, like, especially stuff like that costs so much. Otherwise, there should be some sort of compensation. But I said this before, like, it's not the first time I said this. You got Ignitus MK2. Will they be good? I don't know, because I think they did nerf the Ignitus, but you may not notice it as much. We'll have to see. In the meantime, if you're not sure, I would be leveling up things like Mace, maybe even Labrys. You know, like, look at some of the weapons. If you have actually the Growler, there might be another. You know, look at the weapons that you can build in, like, your workshop for the mediums, and you know, just look at ones where they maybe not on the list, right? Like the Mace they didn't mention. I know they didn't. I don't think I saw Havoc. I saw Ultimates. Yeah, because that's more like close range. You know, one thing I noticed too, because I didn't see Atomizer, and I remember them buffing Atomizer. But we don't see that many Atomizers being used, so is that going to be coming... There's going to be another buff to it, I think. Because they just gave it one buff, and then that was it. That's unusual. That's actually... So I have, speaking of Atomizer, back when Atomizer was at its peak, I kept upgrading. So I have a couple here somewhere, right? Yeah, I have two. Third one, I was upgrading this too. So I even have this as a backup. Yeah, that's why I don't sell stuff. Close range? Yeah, close range is better. Yeah, it might not be so bad. It might not be so bad. But I think like Mace, if you have Mog 1, mix it in, you know, Havoc. Your Mauler has Arbiter Equalizer. I mean, so the Mauler, from what I recall, is it does more damage because of the Dark Light, but they made the Mauler a lot weaker, so it's squishy now, I think. So that's why, you know, that's why I'm not really worried about my Indra, because if they made the Mauler squishier, technically speaking, I should be able to kill them quicker. I know they nerfed my Indra, but the thing is, if you look at the nurse versus the nurse to the Mauler, I would say the Mauler suffered more. So, you know, there's still a good chance that I will be okay with my Indra. We will have to wait and see. And again, you know, this is like the first, again, I keep stressing, first round. We don't really know what's going to happen. By the time those changes hit the live server, it could be very different to what we see now. The Mog 1 family might be better after the nurse. Might be. The storms. I remember when they came out with the storm, I was like, man, that's underwhelming. It looks like they didn't even bother finishing the design for the storm. Like, I wasn't really happy with the design of it. It looks so unfinished compared to every other weapon that they had done up until that point. Oh, the Devourer. Oh, you know what? It's funny you mentioned the Devourer, because I'm actually surprised that they didn't buff it. But, so Saja, this is going back to at the start of the stream. I don't know if you saw me explain. So if the top level of Titans, again, ignore what kind of Titan it is. Just use this as an example, like visually, because I can't draw on here. If the top level was rated as, I don't know, a 10, right? These are pay to win Titans. Just imagine that. Ignore what Titans they are. Just like picture that. And then the second row are the free to play Titans. And maybe one of them is a Devourer. Okay, just imagine that. Well, if the top and the top, so this whole row, the ratings of those Titans is a 10. And the ratings of the free to play Titans is like a 5. If they nerf the top Titans, they nerf it down to like a 6. They don't actually have to do anything to the free-to-play Titans. It could remain the same, which is actually what's happening with your Devourer. Your Devourer actually gets stronger as a result because all of these Titans were nerfed. So, technically speaking, your Titan, your Devourer actually got a buff. It's an indirect buff. It's not, like, obvious. But if everyone around you is getting nerfed and they did nothing to Devourer, you're actually getting stronger. So that's why I kind of mentioned that at the start, because that, you know, players tend to forget that. So yeah, my Indra got nerfed, but I don't know if it's really going to be as bad as what players think, because when you look at the nerfs at like the Atlas Guard and like especially the Mauler, the Indra might just be fine. I mean, Luchador got a nerf too. Like all these other Titans are getting nerfed, so it may not even be as bad as I think. Newton, I don't recall seeing the Newton. Yeah, so the Newton is actually going to get strong as a result because of that. Yeah, so this is what I mean. You know, you're going to see certain Titans, they're going to start, and you got to remember, like I know players want Pixonic to balance the thing perfectly. I guess in an ideal world, That would be nice, but the reality is it's not going to happen. You know, I've been following some games. I mean, I don't even play like StarCraft 2, but I know that when they come out with like a balance patch, and they've been around for longer than War Robots has, they still can't get their balance right, because every time they change something, it swings the game in one direction or the other. And the same thing is going to apply with this game. When they nerf one free-to-play weapon, there's going to be another weapon that you know, for free players to use, because they can't account for everything. When there's so many moving parts, it's impossible. I mean, good luck trying to balance that. You're not going to get it. You know, it's kind of like, so this is why I started leveling up Cestus, because if they start nerfing those, then maybe Hammer's going to get really strong relative to the others, because the power level of the others that are popular, you know, that they, like the Mog one or Mog ones, Kirans or whatever, they're all getting lower. Therefore, all the others, if they untouched, they're getting stronger as a result. You can't cover everything. It's impossible. So that's why I start leveling up things like Cestus, because, you know, it was doing actually pretty well in my tests yesterday, and nothing was even mentioned of it. So if they all the other weapons get nerfed, then that's going to become a meta weapon, or maybe it's going to be, you know, a weapon of choice for the free players. There's always going to be something. That's why I don't stress out about these things. It's more learning how to navigate through it. And the thing is, like, when players start to like rage over stuff, they get emotional. And when you get emotional, you get irrational. When you get irrational, you make stupid mistakes. Because then the next thing you're going to see players, they're going to level up like a luchador because the Indra got nerfed. Then they're going to realize that the luchador is actually worse than the Indra. You know, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, if they were to do that, then they would have wasted all their platinum if they had just been patient and just play it out and see how things go. That's the point I'm trying to make. Anyways, I hope you guys got value out of this. I know it was a long live stream without any gameplay, so apologies for that. Before I get going, if you were entering into the sword unit giveaway, the list was posted last night. All the prizes have been sent out. So, Dominic, thanks for being a member for 95 months. That's crazy. Yo, you're approaching like 100. Crazy how time flies. Or a bumper sticker. Day before you maxed out your mauler. Whatever you do, don't sell it. Okay, that's the number one thing. You don't want to... If you got something maxed out, don't sell it. Because things work in cycles in this game. Trust me, I know. I've been playing this game for so long. They do it over and over again. You would think players would learn, but I guess because the turnover is so high, there's always like new players. Okay, so hopefully that was able to help you guys. And yeah, I think if it was, make sure to hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet done so. And also, once again, if you are purchasing anything in the web shop, I do have a creator code, Adrian Chong, without any spaces. I believe we get like 5% from that, and that goes towards supporting my channel so that I can continue to do War Robots content for you guys, whether it be in the form of videos, live streams like this, guides, giveaways, dream hangers, the baby account especially. And it would be greatly appreciated, and thanks in advance if you use my code. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. So tomorrow, I'm hoping to do a Tesla video on the new Titan, because I didn't cover it last weekend. So I'm a little bit behind on the Tesla stuff. I will probably be doing Secret Revealed, I think, for the Teth and some of the other bots. I know they are getting a nerf, but that's even more reason why you need to know. Because usually when it comes to like things like Secret Revealed, I go over... not so much the weapons, it's more like the specialization track and, you know, the pilot and the drone. Those are really important, because if you get like the pilot, the drone, you know, pilot skills, the specialization thing wrong, your Teth is actually going to be even weaker. So that's going to be in addition to the nerfs. So that's why I'm going to see if I can try to do the secrets for that. If there's any other bots that you would like me to do, you can mention it as well. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. So if this is the first time you happen to drop by my YouTube channel live stream, I hope you enjoyed today's live stream featuring, or at least going over the balance changes that are going to be hitting in the next update. So we have, so in about a month from now, You have time to prepare, and yeah, just stay tuned to my channel. If there's any major changes they make, I'll try to cover it. And I think that's going to be it. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and until the next live stream, I will catch you guys later. Cheers, guys.